All of the settings that we've looked at up to this point can be controlled from within the admin area. However, we could also configure WordPress settings from the WP config file. The WP config file is a special file that sits at the root directory of our WordPress site. What we're going to do is open it up now and take a look at some of the settings that we could hard code directly into this settings file. In addition to the settings found in the admin area, WordPress also has a file called wp-config. This file is located in the root directory of your site, and it's what you use when you manually install WordPress. At the top of the WP config file, you'll have access to your database information, the name of it, your username, password, the host, as well as any other database settings. Beneath that, we have our unique keys and salts. These are special and unique strings of text that are used to help make your WordPress site more secure. Below this, we have our database table prefix. By default, WordPress adds WP underscore to the beginning of all the table names. However, it's a good idea to change this to something else short and unique for your site that isn't the default WP. You're going to want to make this change before you install and set up your site, since otherwise it will already have created these database tables. We could also set up a default language, as well as turn debugging on and off. This is really important to set to true when you're developing and having trouble troubleshooting errors on your site. If we come to the WordPress codex page for the WP config, we could see that we have a ton of other advanced options. We had looked at the WordPress URL for a site before, and it's possible to hard code the URL for your site directly into your WP config file. I tend to put new additions that I add beneath my database, but above the unique keys and salts. This WP underscore site URL is often used in conjunction with the WP underscore home. The reason it's helpful to have these in your WP config is that when you go to change your site from dev to live, for example, you can make that change directly in your WP config file and then simply run an update on the database to make the same changes there as well. However, having this here makes it a lot simpler to transfer sites manually later on when you move them from development to live environments. We could see that we also have the ability to move the themes or plugins folders above the root directory for added security. We have the ability to customize our autosave URL as well as disable it completely if we don't want. Since WordPress is always running in the background saving drafts and saving previous revisions of your articles, that begins to take up some weight in the database. On most sites it's not too big a deal, however we do have the option to turn this off. If we want to enable multi-site networks to work, we could do that through our WP config file. We looked at the ability to turn on and off debugging, and we also have the ability to customize and set up some error reporting, although this is a fairly advanced topic. You may find that you need to increase memory allocation at some point on a WordPress site, especially when it's set low by default on a server and people want to upload bigger images. We could do that by simply copying and pasting over this code into our WP config file. We can see that there are tons of settings here, and I'm going to mention just one last one here, and that's a great ability to set up your site to automatically have all of your FTP information already. When you're running updates, WordPress will often ask for your FTP information, so rather than providing it through the admin area, sometimes it's nice to hard code this information directly into your WP config file. You could continue scrolling through to take a look at these, and if you're a theme or plugin developer, it's a good idea to familiarize yourself with all of the options that you have for working with the WP config file. As it closes with on the site, I recommend that you double check before saving, since these can have profound effects on how your site functions.